the beat.
We just landed on the moon in a Lambo. Taking pictures with the zoom and the angle. We'll be coming back to you with the samples. Our predictions coming soon with a halo. Questioning myself if I believe it though. No longer question if I'm really a believer though. Now you should take into account that my account can build my belief. Take into account I must account for what I really think. Being in the space I learned to see. I only ever make what every day I can't believe. I gotta go. This the only life I know. I believe it in my mind, so I know it's time to show. This the only vibe to go. I do believe it, do you believe it? I said, are you a believer till the end? When your funds are low, can you believe in it again? No longer ever questioning yourself if you believe it though. You never questioning yourself if you believe it though.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. It's a pleasure having you here. This is going to be a heck of a show. I'm being joined by Bill. Bill, how are you?
Ian, good afternoon. I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on the show.
Awesome. Hope everyone is well. I see first we have Mark. Mark has always been first. That's basically 1 month in a row where Mark has been first on the live stream. So congratulations.
All right,
Mark.
thank you, Mark.
Yeah, always quick with that trigger. So shout out to Mark and Bridget Stafford. Welcome, great to have you here. Alice, as usual, great to have you here as well. Tikin as well, great to have you here. Iron Man ICO. What's up, Ian? Dragon Chain is making power moves. Very interesting. I have to check that out. Haven't heard much from Dragon Chain since their 2017 ICO. Michael says, my favorite show is on. Thank you. Awesome. Thank you for those kind words. Barry in the house. Great to have you here. Obi from Facebook. Great guy. Thank you so much. Alpha, Mississippi, Eric, Simone, Iceberg. Michael says, Ian, I am always first. I am on YouTube. Well, great to have you here, Michael. All right, so today's show is titled Bitcoin Whale Strategy, What Whales Are Doing for Bitcoin Halving. So Bill is going to share with us what whales and institutions are doing as we approach the Bitcoin halving. For those who don't know, the Bitcoin halving is when Bitcoin's block reward will be cut in half. So it will shrink from 12.5 Bitcoins per block reward to 6.25. And that's happening on May 12th. So we are 9 days away. So this is really one of the biggest moments in Bitcoin history because basic economics tells us supply and demand. So long term, all of us are very optimistic and bullish on Bitcoin and crypto. And this is really one of those big events. So Bill, let's hop straight into it. I mean, what's your take with Bitcoin whales?
All right. So everyone's been watching the price action, right? And they see it rush up to like 9,000. And I know I've had these moments where I'm like, oh my God, here's it going. I'm going to go to sleep and wake up and it's going to be at 12K. And then I wake up and it's at 8,700, right? So it keeps getting rejected up at 9,000. So my opinion is this is you know, people who need to pay their bills, whether it's hedge funds or I think actual whales who have been holding Bitcoin for a long time, are exiting to, I don't know, finance a bunker in Idaho. Frequently, when you have this kind of selling where people are not selling for market reasons, once they get done, that's when the real ramp up begins, right? When people get off the train early, because that's the hallmark of a bull market, right? So for example, we all know that bear markets have pain points. We've all lived through it. But bull markets have pain points too. And one of them is people getting off the train too early. So in sum, like if Bitcoin was no good, it would rush up to 9K and then crack, right? We'd be at 7,000 already. But the fact that it's holding up means that there's a bid underneath. So yes, I understand people's need to raise cash and spend it to live. I get it. But I don't think that means Bitcoin's not in a bull market. I think it is. And so is the rest of crypto.
Well said, well said. I mean, I think I definitely have to agree as well. Bitcoin has been trending up. Our models short term, as mentioned on the last show, have been bullish on Bitcoin. Bitcoin right now is the top trading opportunity on Token Metrics. So out of all the different cryptocurrencies in our system, over 100 different cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin is number one based on our models. So we're definitely bullish. We remain bullish as we approach the halving. Even our price prediction models were bullish. They were anticipating Bitcoin going to 9,000 and 10,000 possibly. So we don't really anticipate any form of crash or pullback. All right. Anything else to add on that, Bill?
Well, the only thing I would add, and I will probably cover it in cryptotherapy, is, you know, there's also a lot of good things happening underneath Bitcoin, right? Ethereum, Litecoin. I think crypto is not only going to benefit from, say, the next leg of this crisis, but I also think it's going to be the greatest video game of the pandemic that like little people are going to want to play.
Now, speaking of video game, so Binance has just been blowing up. Binance is already big in crypto, but they launched a futures exchange, and has really been grabbing market share from all the other incumbents like BitMEX and OKX and Huobi. And now I think Binance is up there in the top in terms of volume for a company that launched their futures exchange relatively soon. It's already gaining lots of market share.
Right.
And they've mentioned that they've seen great amount of growth during this pandemic. So can you kind of speak as to why possibly people have been trading more as there's more volatility?
Yeah, I mean, again, this goes back to futures in like the 80s, where guys who couldn't make enough money scratched together enough to be able to trade in a futures pit and try to trade one contract at a time to make extra money, right? There used to be a motto at the exchange, you know, don't trade with the rent money. That kind of came from the fact that a lot of people were. Now, in this age, people are home. How much PS2 can you play? Nobody wants to invest in stocks because that's all been nationalized. And crypto is new and exciting, right? So everybody wants to play, right? And then there's a flip side of the coin where you got people with money who are going, okay, I need to invest. You know, I need a 5X. You know, am I going to get it in Google or Facebook? No, absolutely not. So there's young and old going, hey, it's like when I was young, I used to go to, my parents took me to the circus at Madison Square Garden, and they used to call it the greatest show on earth. Crypto is now the greatest financial show on earth. So when you're done with Netflix and you're done with Xbox, crypto is next. And that's why Binance is grabbing market share, because everybody's home staring at their screen going, wow, I could make money doing this.
Well said, Bill. Okay, so next up on the agenda, so is the next leg of the crisis financial?
Right. Okay. So let's talk about where our little analytical framework has been. First, I played the dangerous game of going, I'm not a doctor, but. Okay. And then the virus broke out. And then we talked about how there was going to be a blame game between the US and China. And it looks like that's blowing over because our intelligence community is publishing work, right or wrong, that is making it hard to blame China. So that may not be the next leg. So the next leg may have something to do with the banking system, defaults, possibly in the oil industry, or cities, governments, states, or countries, right? So we had a Lehman Brothers, but that was a bank, right? We had a Venezuela, but that wasn't plugged into the global system. So if you have a component of the overall system, like I'm talking the global system, right? As in the components of the system that the Fed can't just absorb, that's something that people are just not talking about. Like they say, oh, stocks will go up or down, or bonds will go up or down, but they're not talking about any of the cogs in the global system failing. And I don't see how we can avoid that, honestly, right? Everyone says it's another depression, but I don't think anybody understands what a depression really means for the system, right? So I think once this becomes apparent, I think it's going to massively benefit crypto, and that's what's holding up crypto, right? Because that's helping Bitcoin, but that's also helping alts, because I think net, when the next leg of this hits, people are going to go, I want Bitcoin, and I want to speculate as to what the next Bitcoin is going to be, right?
And that's why we have Token Metrics. We're here to help you find the next Bitcoin in times like this, because having cryptocurrency investment research really gives it the ultimate edge. And we're also very glad to say we now have customers in over 85 different countries. So thank you to everybody out there for the support. It's been great growing. The company has been launched since Black Friday in November last year. So 5 months in business, to already have customers in over 85 different countries really shows us how global crypto is. I mean, because although we're based here in the States, the fact that almost all of our audience is outside the States really shows you how crypto is global. So thank you to everybody. And be sure, if you haven't yet joined, to join tokenmetrics.com, 14-day free trial. As usual, we have the coupon code CryptoFamily, which gives you 10% off. All right, so let's check in with the audience and see how we're doing here. So if you would like to ask a question on this live stream during the AMA, please go to menti.com, that's MENTI.com, and use the code 449712. That's 449712. So send in your questions. We'll be going on for a while. Bill will be helping us answer questions for the first hour. Then I'll hang in here and answer questions probably an hour after that. And I see lots of people have questions about tokens. Most of the questions we've already answered or can be answered by going to tokenmetrics.com. So let me see here. Because somebody wants to get Bitcoin updates throughout the night. We'll definitely try to do that. Might be hard since we're only just 2 people. And yes, be sure to smash the like buttons and subscribe. Okay, so Bill, let's go to cryptotherapy.
Okay, so let's do it. Let me get to screen share here.
Yeah, so let's begin with Bitcoin. So that's something everybody has questions on, I know for sure.
Okay, so when we look at Bitcoin, we want to look at the very simple fact that, you know, Bitcoin has returned to the point where it broke down from, right? So that is right here. And it's logical that when people need to raise capital, that there would be a pause here. But I think the most important thing, as I said before, is I call this the pause that refreshes. You know, it makes your bulls a little nervous, but being a nervous bull is good. When you're so sure of yourself, it's a top. So it's the pause that refreshes. Now, in Ethereum, okay, I took a little heat for this when I originally drew it. This comes from a book called Reminiscence of a Stock Operator. It was invented by somebody called Jesse Livermore. And he identified that when a trend is going to happen, right, that it starts with like an upward sloping cone. What's optimal is if the cone is like this, but in Ethereum's case, it's kind of a rectangle. And to be very brief, I like this theory. Old school stuff has worked in crypto for a long time. And I think you're looking at Ethereum going to 400. It's just a question of when it starts. You know, possibly my work shows, you know, early May, right after the Bitcoin halving. Okay, Litecoin. Okay, Litecoin is pressing up against a key diagonal level. Okay, so we got above 42, and now it's trying to stay above 45, 46. Right, and this is what these big cryptos do right before they break out. So, you know, unless there's a huge reversal in equities, like I know people in crypto want to hear like definitive high conviction calls, but if you're going to do good research, you also have to acknowledge the risks. And the risks are that the equity market and Warren Buffett just tanks equities, right? So I'm thinking Bitcoin and crypto survive because the next leg of the crisis, it's like there's a 2008 with inside 2020. And that's got to be crypto positive. And it's not, well, you know, we're going to have to, I don't know, we're going to have a show about dog grooming or something. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. All right, thank you for that, Bill. Now let's also switch over to token metrics and see how token metrics predicts. So as usual, this is not any form of financial investment advice. These predictions should just be used for investment research. So our models are bullish on Bitcoin as we speak. So these are short-term models. So in 30 days or less, very, rather bullish on Bitcoin. Now, if we go to the price prediction models, you notice we've also now expanded the table to show the last 12 months. So this will be updating and showing you the last 12 months and the accuracy. Now, looking at this, so in April, so the red line is the actual price, while the dotted purple line is the predicted price. So this was pretty much in the same range. And then the predicted price has Bitcoin going up. It's actually been more conservative, while the actual price has been going up a lot faster. And as we approach the Bitcoin halving, which is May 12th, our models are predicting Bitcoin being around 10,000, almost $11,000, then going almost as high as 12,000. So if we scroll all the way down here, May 12th, so the models are saying Bitcoin has a high probability of being around 11,000. Then on the low end, it could be as low as 10,400. Then on the super low end, about 8,200. While on the high end, it can go as high as 11,600, or on the super high end, which is unlikely, over 14,000. So all in all, just kind of obviously to take this with a grain of salt, past performance is not indicative of future results. This is basically saying the trend on Bitcoin is bullish. And lots of people have been talking about the halving being priced in. Now looking at this, so we would never rely on just purely this to make any form of trade or investment. So think of this as having multiple checklists that you would like to check. So if you're looking for a short-term trade, this is just one of those checklists saying Bitcoin is bullish. Bitcoin is in a bullish trend short-term. Then also the technical analysis would also say Bitcoin is in a bullish trend. So basically 2 items are very bullish. And then if you also go here to our short-term ratings, Bitcoin is number 1 in the Token Metrics rank. So all in all, those would be 3 checklists telling us as we approach the Bitcoin halving, things are very, very bullish. So it probably is a good idea to hodl to the Bitcoin halving. Now, if we switch over to Ethereum, we also see the same thing. Ethereum is very bullish as we approach the Bitcoin halving. So in March and in May, the models were pretty much in the same range, basically following the same trend going up. Ethereum went from being around 120 all the way to now where it's 220 or 210. And so, yeah, then as we approach the Bitcoin halving, our models are predicting Ethereum having a price of 280. And on the high end, it can go as high as 343. I know Bill mentioned possibly even as high as 400, but just a matter of when. Then on the low end, our models are saying it could be 265. And on the super low end, 203. Actually, sorry, that's May 11th. I meant May 12th. May 12th is 285 for the prediction price. Prediction low is 269. And on the prediction low end is basically 203. So taking this as one checklist, then doing the same with the technical analysis. Okay, it seems my browser here is glitching. Apologies. Okay, yeah, so RTA is very bullish on Ethereum. And then going back to the ratings, so if we go to short-term ratings here, Ethereum's actually not in here, short-term. Okay, it's not, seems my Safari is giving an issue. But anyway, I mean, all in all, things look very good as we approach the Bitcoin halving. Anything else to add to that, Bill?
Well, I love it when the computer
We
model.
can't hear you.
Do you have me now?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so I love it when old school and new school are telling you the same thing, right? My work and your work or your modeling is telling people that anyone who gets off the train now risks missing out. And we all know that one of the most powerful forces in crypto that we haven't talked about is FOMO. FOMO may make its return, because if you look at what those computer models are saying, and you look at what can happen on the outside of the bands, I mean, how much FOMO is there going to be, as an example, if everyone gets off the train at 9 and it goes to 12? What are they going to do when it gets to 12? FOMO.
Massive FOMO.
Massive. Right. Especially if it's not an accident that the Token Metrics customer base is international. It's not. Because I think the international audience, frankly, is smart enough to know that this coronavirus could create a problem either in some country outside the United States or with a financial institution outside the United States. Okay, so I think our audience is smart. I welcome them. Please stay with us. Okay, and I think people who are not paying attention are going to wish, frankly, that they had our models when it's at 12K.
Right. Now, that being said, let us know what you think. Are you bullish as well on Bitcoin and Ethereum as we approach the Bitcoin halving? Let us know in the comments down below. All right, let's check in with our audience and see how we're doing. Wow, lots of people here. Lots of people from YouTube, from Facebook, from Twitter. Great crowd today. Hope everyone is having a great Sunday. Okay, so once again, the Menti code, if you would like to submit your question for the live stream AMA, is go to menti.com, MENTI.com, and use the code 449712. That's 449712 to submit your questions. And just a quick announcement, we have added new projects on Token Metrics in the last few weeks. Recently, we added CeeLo Gold. We've also added Cartesi, the recent Binance IEO, Solana, which was a CoinList IEO, and CeeLo Gold was also a CoinList IEO. We've added Kyber Network as well, which has been one of the best performing projects this year in 2020, and it's one of the premier DeFi projects in the space. We've also added Insular. They recently announced partnerships with Microsoft and Oracle and Chainlink, I believe. Don't quote me on Chainlink, but either way, our community asked us to look into that, and we've added that on the system. So be sure to subscribe to Token Metrics to have all the full reports and detail on that. All right, back to our audience here. So if you have any tokens for us to look into, please use the community forum or just the website or customer support, and our team will try to add that. We prefer to have the entire community chime in terms of what projects our team should research, because we can't research everything. We do have lots of other projects people have been sending to us, and those that get mentioned a lot, our team tries to have those researched very quickly. So for example, I know our team is working on Ava Labs, which is a project that has been getting lots of interest. It has lots of VC backing. All right, Bill, anything else you want to talk about in terms of the market? For example, we know Warren Buffett, the Oracle of Nebraska, who's probably the best investor of all time. So he recently made an announcement on his annual investor call that he's fully out of airlines. And
Right.
Buffett is not known as somebody to panic sell. He's the hodler of hodlers. He's the king of hodling.
Right.
Typically holds for 10 years or longer. So for him to say that the fundamentals of the airline business or industry has changed and he's getting out of all airlines, how does that affect equities? And how does that affect even Bitcoin or crypto, if it does?
Right. Okay. So if Warren is selling airlines, my first question is, well, what else is he selling? Okay. Frankly, when Warren put that out, that was his way of telling his whole investor flock to GTFO. I'll let you forget what that means later.
Yeah.
Right? He was just saying, you know, if the Fed wants to absorb equities, good for them. I'm done. Now, that's going to create an equity market reaction. We have to wait and see how much, if at all, it affects crypto. You know, I suspect any big heave lower in equities is going to create a dip buying opportunity for Bitcoin, because the stock market has been thriving on hope, and hope is not a good tactic. So if equities fall and Bitcoin goes down and stops, that's the tactical buying opportunity. So it would be really ironic if something Warren Buffett did gave crypto investors a chance to get in, right? And that became the bottom for our next leg up. So I would personally love that. Because one of the other things that Buffett didn't tell you is, he says, I'm getting out of airlines, but he didn't tell you what he might be getting into.
Yeah, I mean, right now he's basically just in cash. He has, I believe, over 100 billion in cash.
Right. So, you know, cash is king in an environment like this, but he's eventually going to have to put that money to work.
Fully agree. Fully agree. All right. So if anybody out there is a Warren Buffett fan or not, let us know what you think. Do you think airline industry is done? I mean, I personally think it's definitely not looking good for airlines in 2020. I mean, as somebody who travels a lot, in 2018, we had a crypto world tour, did over 30 countries in 12 months. We're basically living in a suitcase. And this year, I've not really traveled at all. And I've just been here hunkered down at home. Now, I'm also big on hotels. So Marriott, Hilton, I'm on their top tier platinum plans, whatever. They're all messaging their clientele, telling them they're going to extend their tier plans all the way till next year, because they anticipate that nobody's going to really be traveling. And even if the lockdowns stop, I think it's going to take a while until people start traveling rapidly. So I think 2020 is basically a wash for anybody in the travel or airline industry, unfortunately. And I think Warren Buffett is smart to get out. I mean, because he obviously made his money by being somebody who does his research, and he's not really the one to panic sell. So for him to really pull the trigger to get out, it's really telling everybody it's going to get worse before it gets better, especially in the airline industry and travel industry. All right, so let's take some questions here from the audience. What questions do you have? So we'll be taking questions from both the comments and also mentimeter.com. Once again, go to menti.com, menti.com. Okay, I see somebody already has a question here. I preferably would like to save the token related questions for the end, because for example, somebody's asking whether Cartesi is a blockchain coin or a token. Okay, so how about this? I'll just quickly kind of briefly answer this since we're already here. Just give me 1 minute here. Okay, so the first question is Cartesi a blockchain coin or a token? So, because Cartesi is not a blockchain and it's also not a dApp. So we have done a report on this that we do plan to email out to our customers in the coming, I would say sometime this month. So stay tuned. We'll have a really in-depth fundamental report. But think of Cartesi as a operating system. So what they're doing is they're bringing Linux operating system and making it available on a blockchain. So imagine you have a computer. So Aetherium is known as a virtual computer. It's basically a computer made through software. Then on top of that, you have an operating system. And Cartesi is looking to achieve that, looking to be an operating system that brings Linux capabilities to blockchain developers looking to build applications. Now, let me share my screen just to kind of give you an idea of what I'm talking about here, so everybody can visualize as I talk about this. So to kind of give you a quick synopsis without kind of delving too deep into the project and the report, it's definitely a worthwhile ambition. But as somebody who back in 2018, I believe, our team invested in ArcBlock, which was a similar concept. It was also an infrastructure project. That hasn't really panned out well. I don't believe we lost money on it. I'm not sure, but I know we definitely sold early. We got out of that early and hasn't really done much. Now, they did have an IEO on Binance, but our main concern with this project is it's very, very early on. IEOs have not really done well. IEOs, as we've mentioned before, they're quick flips, they're pump and dumps. So for anybody looking to be a long-term investor, getting into this IEO, we don't think now is the time. Right now, it's too nascent, it's too early stage to really be investing in this. Stay tuned for the in-depth report. Now, for anybody who's getting into IEOs, you're basically trading. So you don't even really have to look at the fundamentals of an IEO if you're doing a short-term trade where you're buying the IEO and you're planning to flip it or sell it in within 1 day to a week. But if you're doing that, definitely do know you're playing with fire. There's lots of risk involved, and you could end up losing money. And if anything, most IEOs do end up losing money, even the ones on Binance. So very few end up having sustained growth. So for us, our strategy when it comes to getting involved in IEOs, if we like a project, if we really like the long-term prospects of a project, is to wait until the hype dies down, the price. So IEOs basically have a quick pump. They pump, then they come back crashing to earth. And we think after maybe 6 months or so of price action, that's when it probably makes sense to look into possibly investing for the long term. But I mean, Cartesi definitely does have all the sexy buzzwords, the nice idea, the nice vision, but it is crypto. And we've all lost money on projects that sounded sexy, but ended up being just shitcoins, unfortunately. Now, I'm not saying this is going to be that. I mean, because it definitely is sexy. But what I'm saying is the fact that it's an IEO, we ourselves would avoid it just based off of that and just wait for it to have a longer history of trading activity. Because when IEOs launch, the funds raised are used to market make. So the projects or the exchanges rather are buying back tokens for the IEO. So in a way, they're pumping the price. Then once the market makers, once their reserves dwindle, the trading volume decreases, and it basically finds its natural trading price. And that's when typically things aren't so good. Now, with that being said, stay tuned for the full in-depth report. It will also be up on Token Metrics. Actually, I believe if you're already a customer, it might already be on the platform. So if you are, definitely do be sure to check that out. Now, with that being said, that's kind of my quick thoughts on that. Have you heard anything about Cartesi, Bill, by any chance?
Ian, I rely on
Okay, we
smart
can't hear
people
you.
like you
again.
to. I rely on smart people like you to help me with these things. You know, one of the things that I think is interesting about projects like this is if there was ever a cyber disruption as a part of this crisis. So I can't comment on that particular coin, but I do like this idea of alternative platforms, alternative infrastructure. In other words, if you opened your computer one day and said, Windows is temporarily unavailable, do come back soon, these projects become more interesting. So yes, the shitcoin possibility is always there, but it is time to think outside the box and be open-minded. That's what.
Absolutely. Now, I do want to mention I am a big fan of Linux. I mean, as somebody who's been a developer, computer engineer, I love Linux. I actually use Linux probably every week or every month because our servers run on Linux. I mean, anybody in the tech who's a developer or works in software, you have to love Linux and open source. So we definitely do want to see them do well, but we're just saying, wait for the hype to die down, essentially. Okay, so here's a question for Bill. So Harvey, hey Harvey, great to have you here as usual. Does Bill think the recent crash in the markets is more similar to the crash in 1987 or 1929?
Okay, so that's a great question. I would definitely have to say it's more 1929-ish, and here's why. In 1929, they were coming off a period of the Roaring 20s where there was a lot of financial innovation, excess, and leverage. Okay, and once that popped, you know, you had a sustained slowdown that they called the Great Depression. You know, they showed people waiting in line to get bread. And it all just sort of looked like pictures in a history book. Well, regrettably, that's exactly what's happening. I know where I lived, they pulled a food relief truck up in a higher end neighborhood, and 700 people were in line. That was 3 weeks ago. So based on human behavior, the 29 model is better. The 87 model was more of a sudden correction of a larger bull market, right? You know, equities went straight up from 80 to 87 and then corrected all at once. Yes, it was a panic. Yes, it was terrible. Yes, people were freaking out, but really it was only a 25% drop. Now, for us friends in crypto, you know, what's 25% between friends, right? It happens. So 29, it's more accurate in some because it was a market shock followed by breadlines.
All right, thank you, Bill. Okay, so next question from the audience. What do you think is the Fire Festival of Cryptos? Okay, I haven't really heard much of this. I'm not sure exactly what you mean by that. I've tried to do a quick search. I'm not Can somebody maybe post in the comments what they mean by that? Okay, so I'm gonna have to skip that because I don't really have much info on that, unfortunately. Okay, let's move on to the next questions. Okay. People are saying, who is the bald guy? He looks really smart, crypto expert. That's Bill Noble. I mean, he definitely is a crypto and investing and trading expert. Maybe Bill want to do a quick intro for some people who are, I guess, tuning in for the first time.
Listen, as long as I get famous, I'm okay. As long as if it's the crypto bald guy, bring it on. So I'm Bill Noble. I've been a technical analyst since the first Gulf War when I was 18, working as an intern. I made my way as a technical analyst for crisis situations. So for Morgan Stanley in 2001, 2002, I spent 12 years at Goldman Sachs throughout the financial crisis, before and after. I've got retail experience with Charles Schwab, and then I followed it up by starting my crypto journey with Charlie Shrem's group. So I got my crypto cred there and my education, and now I'm here with Ian. And basically my job is simple. It's to make really complex situations into really simple ideas that can be implemented for guidance for anybody who needs it.
And it's a pleasure having you on the team, Bill.
Yes,
having you here.
It's a privilege to be here. Thank you.
Okay, all right. So going on to the next question. So this is from mentimeter.com. Okay, so somebody's asking, which blockchain do you think might make it big like Ethereum did 3 years ago? So, I mean, first thing first, this is why we made the platform Token Metrics. So highly encourage, if you haven't, to definitely make sure you've joined, because we answer these questions for a living through the platform 24/7 when we're not even there. But just at a high level, 3 blockchains I think could compete with Ethereum long term. Now, this is not looking at Token Metrics. This is just kind of based on my personal opinion, obviously not financial advice, based on the projects we have researched. So I would say the blockchain projects that are pretty credible, in our opinion, are Blockstack. I would add Cosmos into that. Maybe third, I would add Tezos as well. I think those are 3 blockchains that our team has looked into, and we're pretty much, I would say, we're very bullish long term, right? So if you go into Token Metrics and go to long-term investor ratings, so those are the blockchain projects we're very, very bullish on. I personally would also add in their Helium network. It's a project I've been mining for a while. They're building a wireless internet, and they have hotspot devices that mine. But in my opinion, I would say those are the blockchain projects that really have potential. How about you, Bill?
All right. Well, I'm a shameless Tezos fan, so we've all heard that. I did notice that my pet project, Decred, has climbed back into the Token Metrics ranking and is trading at like bargain basement prices relative to Bitcoin. So Decred, as I understand it, correct me if I'm wrong, but they've got a very unique algorithm that, prevents any one miner from getting too much control. That's just how I understand it. So every time Decred pops up into like the Token Metrics top 10, I get excited.
Yeah, I mean, our system is pretty bullish on Decred as well. It's in the top 15 long-term ratings right now as we speak. So it's definitely a good project as well. But let us know what you think. What are 3 blockchain projects you think could be as big as Ethereum in the next 3 years? Let us know down in the comments below. We definitely want to make sure our audience gives us their take, because maybe we missed a project, or maybe you have the same opinion as us. Okay, all right. Moving on to the next question. Okay, so this is a question about Tim Draper. what do you think about Tim Draper saying that Bitcoin will go to $250,000 at the end of 2022 or Q1 in 2023? Well, I mean, first of all, Tim Draper is definitely a legend in the space. He's definitely a smart person. With that being said, I mean, it's all just guessing. I mean, nobody really knows what the price will be in 2023 or 2022. But I mean, he definitely seems to have a logical, thought out system that has allowed him to do well thus far. And maybe he's using that same system to kind of guess where Bitcoin's price could be. Bill, do you want to take a jab at this?
Sure. I think you're correct in saying, you know, we don't know where Bitcoin's going to be in 2023. We don't know where humanity's going to be in 2023, folks. Sorry to be morbid.
True.
Right? We don't know.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I think what this guy is telling you is that crypto overall market cap is going to go up, right? If you look at a market cap chart, you know, Bitcoin's got all the market cap and there's everyone else. Now, I would prefer to think that there are going to be coins that are going to rise relative to Bitcoin. Okay, so overall crypto market cap, Multicoin has published this, could be enormous, right? I mean, the Fed printed $2.6 trillion in a week. What would happen if crypto, where is Bitcoin if crypto market cap was at 2.6 trillion? Because crypto isn't funny money. You have to mine it. You have to trade it. There's no government behind it. It's a real free market. So if funny money can be 2.6 trillion, where can crypto be?
Yeah, well said, well said. Now to kind of chime in as well. So on past shows where we looked at what historically has happened with the Bitcoin halving, we mentioned that we kind of went through that strategy and made an assumption. So the assumption was, if what happens with the past two Bitcoin halvings happens with Bitcoin, we anticipate Bitcoin in the next 2 years. So that means 2021, 2020 could be minimum $50,000. Now that's definitely far off from the price Tim Draper has been quoted as saying of 250,000. But I mean, that's kind of, I would say, a conservative estimate. Now we're all obviously bullish on Bitcoin and crypto. That's why we're here. So we definitely do think Bitcoin is going to keep on going up. And actually 2,000 would be very low in my personal opinion, but just going through. So I think the model we used was based on the past two halvings. If you go on the price chart, every single bull market would decrease by a factor. So actually, let me see if I can pull up the halving chart here. It'll be easier to explain. So let me pull this up here. Just give me 1 second. Okay. Have you looked at the Bitcoin halving chart, Bill, by any chance?
Probably not the exact one, but I have seen the research done on this showing that, you know, when they do these changes in the block reward, it's kind of triggered bull markets.
Yeah, so this is the one we covered last time. So if we see here in 2011, the bull market was basically 243 days, then it went to 368, then went to 525. So we just used a very basic model where we said, okay, what's the factor it's increasing by? So looking based off of this, we then predicted that the next bull run will be longer, but the returns would be a lot less. Because as you see here, this is basically 177x. Then it goes basically, it gets cut in half by a factor of 2 to 92x. Then this gets cut by a factor of 3 to 29x. So we're assuming this will get cut by a factor of 4 because it seems to be increasing factors. Now, obviously, this is not anything scientific. But I'm just saying if this, I guess, quasi-scientific method is anywhere close, this could be one possible way of kind of trying to predict whether the future is going. Now, this is all pure speculation, by the way, right? So based off of that, we also have a video and live stream on this, and a video clip will be posted on this, I think sometime this month. But basically, looking at this, the baseline seems 45 to 50,000 for the next bull run. So, I mean, Tim Draper is definitely very bullish. If Bitcoin goes to 250,000, we're definitely not going to complain. And if anything, we all probably anticipate it's going to go there in two to 3 years. But just kind of playing devil's advocate, it could go maybe only to 50,000. Who knows? All right, so let's go back to back to Mentimeter. Okay, so let me just kind of try to digest this question real quick. Okay, this isn't really a question. This is a statement. So he's saying, if and when a bull market happens, I'd rather be in good alts. I can 10x or more for something like ADA, which is Cardano, Ontology, Aeon, Tron, etc. Doing 10x from BTC is not easy. We have to strategize, people. It's about the money. Okay, so maybe let me try to rephrase this and make it more general. So I think what he's saying, based on the question I'm reading, is in a bull market, we should try to get returns in altcoins as opposed to just trading Bitcoin. So Bill, what's your take on this? Should people speculate in altcoins in a bull market for larger gains, or just stick to boring Bitcoin?
Okay, well, as we hinted at last week, my answer on this has changed, right? So my old answer was, don't get caught in another shitcoin. Okay. Now in the post-COVID world, you know, it's worth it to take a shot, right? You have to be smart. You have to do your homework. It's not 2017 where you throw a dart at a board and it goes up 10x. Okay. But I do think there are 10x's out there. So the answer to the question is, yes, you need to be involved in alts, but the caveat is that's going to be really hard to find. It could be Cardano, it could be Tezos, it could be something we never even talk about. You know, Ether could do 100x. You know, the thing I keep thinking about is, if Bitcoin's at 50,000, where's Ether? And could Ether have the same market cap as Bitcoin? You know, that's Ethereum at 10,000. That's just a rough guess, right? Yeah. So the 10x is, yes, you should be looking for it, but it may be in a different place than you might think. Like the other thing I was thinking about, which is, you know, almost taboo, is I was wondering about Bitcoin Cash, right? In other words, it's going to come from an unexpected place. And honestly, even though this sounds shameless, the only tool that I know of that gives you an objective way to try and find it is the system that Ian has invented. Otherwise, you're at the mercy of crypto Twitter. I mean,
yeah, I mean, so our system, tokenmetrics.com, was created just to answer those type of questions, because our entire philosophy and thesis is, yes, Bitcoin is great. However, we're trying to find the next Bitcoin. And looking at this from a purely empirical standpoint, if you even go to equities, it's been scientifically proven. There's lots of literature on this. Investing in low cap value projects long-term outperforms the market. So what does that mean? That means that finding something that has long-term value, that's underpriced, that's cheap. So basically finding something at a bargain. Now that does not mean just buy anything at a bargain. It has to have actual value. It has to be something valuable. So we're taking that same approach of value investing and bringing that to cryptocurrency investing, not just Bitcoin, but over 100 different altcoins. Our team is basically doing the dumpster diving and trying to find those hidden gems. And we do lots of dumpster diving. I mean, we have no issue getting dirty and all the altcoin garbage to find the next Matic network, the next Blackstack, the next Ethereum, the next Cardano, the next Tezos. I mean, that's our business. That's our full-time job. So, I mean, going back to the person's question, I mean, actually, I think I already clicked the question off. But anyway, I mean, so yes, making money and finding next 10x investments is possible. It's going to take a lot more research. That's why we want a platform like this, and it's going to be longer. But we do strongly believe the returns are still there. If you go and look at this year, there have been coins that have been outperforming Bitcoin. So for example, Kyber Network has had a great year this year. I mean, Kyber Network has been phenomenal. Actually, let me see if I can pull up Kyber, because now Kyber is in our system. And recently we're talking about this, I believe on our private investor call, or I think a private investor call, we talked about Kyber. So if we go to performance metrics, okay, here, let me just briefly share my screen. So this is Token Metrics. I've pulled up Kyber and I've gone to performance metrics. So as we see here, Kyber hasn't really had a great 2018 or 2019. But in 2020, Kyber has been on a run. So if we look at this, in the last 6 months, Kyber's returns have been 272%. Year to date, 251%. So, I mean, that's a hell of a year for anybody. So having research and platforms that can help you find these projects early on and also compare them, because a project could be good, but it's not the right time to invest. And then timing matters. And that's really where value investing comes in, and also being able to look at several factors, because Kyber at this point, people weren't really looking at Kyber. But in 2020, with the whole decentralized finance movement and hype that has been happening in 2020, Kyber has been, for anybody who's had Kyber in their portfolio, I mean, congratulations.
Shut up and take my money.
As
Shut
you like
up
to
and
say.
take my money.
I mean, your portfolio is looking really good right now. And that's kind of our entire thesis. There's still lots of wins out there, because for people that blindly say all altcoins suck, all altcoins will go to zero, they obviously don't really know much about investing. Because, I mean, yes, Bitcoin is good, but you also have to diversify out of Bitcoin. You can't just purely have one cryptocurrency and put all your risk in one bag. So, I mean, because for anybody who invested in Kyber this year, I mean, Bitcoin is only up 23% year to date. You basically over 200% more returns just by having a piece of Kyber. Now, we're not saying go out there and put your entire portfolio in altcoins or in Kyber. However, if you had a balanced portfolio, for example, that had 10 or more altcoins plus Bitcoin, your portfolio would look a lot better during the pandemic. So any crash that happened back in April or in March, I mean, these gains would have been a nice cushion. And that's really what our entire platform is all about. Okay, so let me check in here with the comments, see how people are doing. Wow, great crowd today. This might be our most popular live stream yet, I believe. All right. Lots of interest as we approach the halving. Video and audio should be working fine. If you're having any issues, I would say just refresh your browser or page. Okay, let me see if we can get any other questions here. Ian, I respect and value your opinion a lot, but don't sleep on Solana as a top blockchain that can do what Ethereum did. So we do have Solana on Token Metrics. The technology is nice and sexy, but it's still very experimental, very early stage. The fundamentals are not there. The technology is, we would say, decent, has some potential, but right now, don't fall into the recency bias or hype. Definitely wait for it to have more trading action. Now, one thing we do like is for anybody who's doing staking with Solana, they have a price floor guarantee. So anybody who stakes, I believe you have to stake for, I think 30 days. Don't quote me on that. Either 30 days or 3 months. I think it's 30 days. And they'll pay you 90% of whatever the purchase price was during their token sale on CoinList. So meaning that at worst case scenario, you only lose 10%. So right now, last time I checked, it was still above their token sale price or IEO price. I think it was trading up to 5x during the first week launch of trading on Binance. But that price floor for 1 year is definitely a nice touch. So because of that, it's probably going to be hard for it to drop below that. So it's definitely one to keep an eye on. But however, the fundamentals are not very good. If you go to Token Metrics, where we've added the project, the fundamentals are not so good right now. Okay, let's go back to Mentimeter and go on to the next question. Okay, what are your thoughts on 2008 and 2020 real estate prices? Because Europe is slowly opening the economy. Okay, so basically the question is about real estate prices globally and also maybe here in America. Do you want to take a stab at this, Bill?
Sure.
First?
Sure. I actually think this is a great question, right? So earlier in the show, we talked about the next leg of this overall problem could have a financial component to it. Real estate, particularly commercial real estate, is one hotspot for a big problem, right? In other words, once everybody goes to Zoom, are people just going to say, oh, gee, let's go back to the office? No. I mean, if Ian's not getting on a plane and going to a hotel, who's going to the office? Nobody. So all of this hyperinflated real estate in all these hotspot countries or cities, New York, Los Angeles, Hong Kong, right? London. I don't know. I mean, I don't see people paying rent. I see people defaulting and not paying rent, and I see demand vaporizing. Okay. So the next leg of this could, it's going to have to be absorbed by central banks. Okay. Or maybe not. Maybe they just let the market bust and have market clearing prices. Yeah. So what does this mean for a crypto crowd? Well, real estate used to be collateral, like a home equity loan. I don't think your home or real estate is good collateral anymore because no one knows what it's worth and nobody knows what the risk factors are now or 1 year from now. Like, it's funny. I almost think regular land that you could put a house on is worth more than land that has a house on it already. You don't know if the house is clean. So that's a little morbid, but commercial real estate is a potential hotspot. And the reason I bring it up is because, I see crypto as the new collateral. Bitcoin, the only way Bitcoin gets to 50,000 is if people view it as secure enough to be collateral for lending. It effectively takes the place of real estate.
Yeah. Now to kind of chime in with my anecdotal story. So back in 2019, last year, I moved to Miami and I was there house hunting, trying to find a place, trying to go down to Florida to have no state income tax. And I went down there and what I saw really blew my mind because there was so much inventory. Miami, they have skyscrapers just popping up left and right. And you go in there for tours and they're all vacant. Yet the prices were ridiculously high, almost 2x in other places here in America versus DC, other places have been. And I told myself, this is a bubble waiting to pop. I mean, because just from speculating and from talking to other people, I think what was happening down in South Beach and South Florida in Miami, lots of people from South America who have money, lots of rich people would come to Florida and just dump the money in real estate, not really even caring about the pricing because they're just trying to get their money out of South America, maybe due to currency risk or political risk. So, for example, rich people in Venezuela, Colombia, Brazil, they would just go to Miami and just buy real estate as a way to store their value, as opposed to having it in their local currency or having in Venezuela where everything was just kind of going down the tubes. And I told myself, you know what? Now's not the time. So I packed up my bags after about 3 months, 4 months, came back to DC, and I said, you know what? Let me wait 1 year. I bet this market is going to be the first one hit when the next recession comes. Now, I'm not been one person to wish for any bad omens or just ill will on anything. But I mean, the recession just really, because even back then, also people were predicting the recession was coming based on the yield curve inversion. And then just kind of based on my own experience seeing going out in South Florida and trying to find a place, just showed me that there's no way they can justify this pricing with so much supply. So that's kind of my take on it. Now, in this current climate, just to kind of chime in with a different question somebody else has asked. So the other person was saying why real estate hasn't been impacted yet versus equities. I mean, real estate typically has a lag. So stock market is kind of more real time, especially crypto. Crypto is definitely real time because it's 24/7 free market. Then there's a lag with stocks and equities. Then real estate is definitely the last one to really show that the economy is crashing. Now, just to kind of add on to this, in the last 1 month, I've had so many realtors I've spoken with, some even 2 years back, hitting me up via text message. I'm not even sure how they had my phone number, but trying to sell me for open houses. So I think just kind of from my own personal anecdotal experience, I'm seeing realtors are being more aggressive. I definitely do think they've been hit and they're feeling the pinch due to the pandemic. And I think it's not going to stop anytime soon. All right, so let's go on to the next question. Okay, I'm not sure if this is really a question. Seems we're getting lots of statements. Okay, can we all agree to disagree that Bitcoin is not going to zero? It will hit past 20K before it does that. If I have $15,000 to invest, a sold altcoin 10x, hold on, let me just try to rephrase this question. An altcoin at 10x can buy me a house. 10x for BTC now is 135,000. I cannot really sure what the question is on that one. I think he's basically saying Bitcoin is not going to zero, but he'll also make more money on a 10x in an altcoin. Okay. Let me just go through here. Hello, Ian. My name is Francois Cloud from France. Bonsoir, Francois. Mon ami, for sure. Okay. Somebody tells me you're advisor to Centra. C'est vrai? No. Definitely not advising Centra. I mean, Centra Coin, that was not advising that project by any chance. Okay, so next part is actually a testimonial. Okay, I bought Kyber because of you, Ian. I read that you said about what you said about the investment. I realized that the best thing is to invest in undervalued projects. Thank you very much. Token Metrics is the best. Okay, thank you. Thank you for the kind words. I think that's Mike. Now, I'll just add on. I mean, definitely don't invest just because of us. I mean, that's definitely not a smart way to invest, unfortunately. But the platform is a tool. It's a research tool. It's one of many. So always at the end of the day, make your own final decision. And when you invest, take accountability for your investment, because you definitely don't want to just invest in something just because we give it a good rating or our models give it a good rating. Always do your own research and come to your own conclusions. Okay. All right, Bill, how long do we have you for? Maybe any last questions or anything else you want to cover?
Sure. I can give you one last thing. So we talked about Warren Buffett, right? Or famous investors. Mm-hmm. Famous investors don't wake up and say, I'm looking for the next 10x, or I'm looking to find a 10x. They're looking to do their homework and find a great project or investment. Now, they may wind up being a 10x or a 100x, but it's homework driven. It doesn't start with, oh, I need a 10x right now. No, it starts out with homework. So I encourage everybody in quarantine to do as much homework as you can. And the more homework you do, the more money you'll make.
All right.
That's
Thank you, Bill. Great having you. Talk
All
to
right,
you
thanks
next
a
week.
lot.
Bye. All right, everybody. We just landed on the moon in a Lambo. Hey.
Taking pictures with the zoom and the angle.
All right. Time for the second segment.
Pause.
One-on-one with yours truly, Ian Belina. Okay, so here to answer as many questions as we can. Not sure how long we'll be going, but for now, I'm here. Definitely make sure you subscribe to the Token Metrics YouTube channel. Hit the like button, smash the like button, share, retweet, spread the love, let everybody know to subscribe to Token Metrics YouTube. Our live stream, as usual, every Sunday, 6 p.m. Eastern time. Okay, Desiree says, hey, all right. Is Algorand a goodbye? Not really. I mean, it's, looking at Token Metrics, hasn't really been in the top 10 of our rating systems. Okay, Mafe from Facebook says, taking into consideration that business is a numbers game in some sort, have you considered investing in cryptocurrencies in Africa? We have looked at some cryptocurrency products in Africa, but it hasn't been one that we've liked, that we've ended up investing in yet. Props token project is moving to Algorand. Yes, I did hear about that. So we were actually investors in Props, but then we opted for the refund once they tried to change the vesting terms. So that was probably the best thing we ever did. Actually, probably remains to be seen because they still haven't released their token yet. So from that perspective, yes. But then I ended up taking all that money, that refund money from Props, and put that into Pixio chain, which went straight to zero. So maybe wasn't the best thing I ever did. Okay, what about Raven, RVN? That should be on Token Metrics as well. It hasn't been in the top 10 or top 20 last time I recall. Blockstack is a security. Why are you so bullish? Well, it's a security token in the US, but outside the US, it's not a security token. That's why it's on Binance. It recently got added onto KuCoin, and they're going towards a path of working and becoming decentralized. So kind of like Ethereum and Bitcoin, where once they're fully decentralized, then maybe they can list on American exchanges. Now, in terms of why we're bullish, I would suggest you read the report on tokenmetrics.com. Just search Blockstack. What about Zilliqa? Any insider information about this project mooning? No insider information, unfortunately, but definitely do check out their rating on Token Metrics. It was in the top. Let me see Zilliqa. Where's Zilliqa? Okay, it has been changing, I believe. Let me go to long term here. Okay, it's in our top 20 long term, so it's not too bad. It's a decent project to have in our portfolio. All right, so what questions do you want to ask me? Okay, Mentimeter questions seem to have been asked. Okay, then in terms of math, let's go to the Token Metrics forum. So I know we haven't yet announced the winner, but don't worry, we'll be announcing the final winner for the Token Metrics Forum Awards for April. This person will be getting a 12 months free subscription to Token Metrics Investor Plan, which is valued at $600. So this is going to be the last award. We've already given out awards for the past 2 weeks for the basic plan and for the hodler plan. So stay tuned. We'll be announcing the winner, I would say by Monday. We're actually supposed to announce it by Friday, but it just got so busy. So my fault on that. Apologies, but don't worry. We'll be announcing the winner. Stay tuned. Okay, so let me go through this real quick. Okay, so this question coming from the Token Metrics forum. what are the best master nodes to invest for the long term? So this comes from Renee. I like Energy, Zcoin, Dash, Talos, and Pivx. What do you think and why? I like Energy because they have private coin. Okay, so I would say if me personally, if I'm going to do any kind of investing and master nodes or projects that I think let's just make this wider. Let's say projects that have staking, because masternode staking is kind of the same thing. Basically, it's kind of like getting dividends in a way. So what projects have good returns? Before even doing that, because staking is all about getting compound interest. And to get compound interest, the longer you have a masternode or you stake, the more money you make. Excuse me. So if you're going to be holding anything long-term, you want to make sure you aren't holding a shitcoin, because if you're doing masternodes or staking on a shitcoin, it makes no point. So this is where it makes sense to do your fundamental research, so fundamental analysis and technology analysis. Using Token Metrics is definitely a good start. So if I pull up Token Metrics and go to our long-term ratings, projects that have staking or masternodes that I think would make sense. We have Ethereum, which is launching ETH 2.0, but it's not live yet. We have Cosmos, Dash, Matic Network, Zcash, Neo, Blockstack, Decred, DAI. I see Zcoin, Waves, Zilliqa. Okay, so we have all of that, but if we go to a site like stakingrewards.com, so this is a crypto site that tracks the returns of different projects. So you have to, so I would say first go through and get the top best projects for staking according to Token Metrics, and then go through and look at the returns. So if you have any of those projects in your portfolio, so here I've pulled up staking rewards. So let's sort by rewards here. So Chainx is not on Token Metrics, so but maybe we should have our team look into it. But I see here Icon has been, I think Icon is in the top 30 last time I checked. But Cosmos returns 8%. So if you have Cosmos in your portfolio for the long term, then you should definitely be doing some form of staking to increase the amount of Atom cryptocurrencies you get. Decred, we mentioned Decred, Tezos, Waves. So in general, to kind of make this more generalized, if you have a portfolio, so let's say you've booked a portfolio with Token Metrics that has 10 to 20 cryptocurrencies that are good for the long term. You then take those in your portfolio and you see which one of those have staking, which one of those have masternodes. And you, because as a long-term investor, by definition, you are holding for minimum 1 year. So here in the States, long-term capital gains tax, you have to hold for 12 months or longer. So minimum 1 year. So if you're going to be doing that, then you're probably going to want to stake whatever you have available that's going to be held for longer than 1 year. So you stake that and you get compound interest. So that's the strategy I would follow. So to kind of recap, whatever cryptocurrencies you have in your portfolio for the long term that have been rated highly on Token Metrics. So I would say in the top 20, if you have any of those in your portfolio and they have staking or masternodes, those are the ones I would use. So for example, we mentioned Cosmos, Decred, and some others. That's the strategy I would follow. But let me know, have we missed something? Is there maybe some other cryptocurrency or some other way you would stake or do masternodes? Let me know down in the comments below. Okay. Anyone have any thoughts on OXT, Orchid? So our team has researched Orchid recently. We'll be doing a report on that as well, probably sometime this month. Let me check Okay, yeah. So it's not. It has not been entered into Token Metrics yet. Excuse me. Some don't worry, guys. That's not Corona yet. Well, I hope so. I hope not. But that's neither here nor there. Some other projects we are looking into. We've been looking into Orchid, Origin Protocol. Origin is already up on the site. We'll be doing a in-depth report on that coming up soon. So stay tuned. So Origin Protocol, for those who are on Investor Plan and above, you have access to projects that are still being scored. So you should be able to see some information, but there isn't really much to see on that. Okay, I really need some water. Okay, but we'll keep on going. Mark says, hey, Ian, haven't watched you in a while. Happy to see you still going strong, buddy. Thank you, Mark. Appreciate it. Do you own any property on Decentraland? No, I do not, unfortunately. I do not own any property in Decentraland. That's the virtual world. That was a project we were bullish on back in 2017 during the ICO. But I think we even tried to invest, but there was a whole fiasco where it crashed. Okay. Okay, so we answered the staking question. The sound is good, says Felipe. Thank you. What are your thoughts on Wax? We're not bullish on Wax ever since the ICO. And in Token Metrics, yes, it's also on Token Metrics, but it's not bullish at all. Looking, but the rating has not been finished yet for that as well. But in general, I would say we're not really bullish on Wax. Okay, Richard Hart is pumping Hex to the moon. Why did Hex do an ADX? Well, okay, hold on. Let me clear my throat for this. Man, don't know. Well, haven't had water all day. Maybe that's why. Okay, so this person is saying, why has Hex done an ADX? I mean, first of all, let me pull up Hex on Token Metrics. So we were not bullish on Hex at all. I mean, yes, I'm friends with Richard, and I mean, he's done the product has done well. It's been one of the best performing projects this year to date. So as you can see here, long-term, this is our rating for Hex. So we were not bullish, right? Fundamentals grade was not good. Technology grade was not good. Tech TA grade is not there. So now with that being said, though, then same thing for short-term, right? So as you can see, long-term, we were not bullish on Hex. But despite that, this is why we strongly believe in doing cryptocurrency research and not following the herd. Because if you listen to crypto Twitter, they would have told you Hex is a scam. Now that's lazy reasoning, that's lazy logic. So to us, we don't believe in just blindly labeling everything as scam. We do actual research, and we would rather say this is not a good project, this is a bad project, don't put your money in, than just saying this is a scam. I mean, very few projects do we outright call scams, because the people on crypto Twitter who call Hex a scam haven't even done any research on Hex. They just call it a Ponzi scheme. Now, I mean, whether you think it's a Ponzi scheme or not, we just call it a bad investment. Now, despite that, though, we did put out a report to our customers. This was a few months back, saying that we don't think it's a good project. Do not put any of your money in. Obviously, it's not financial advice, but don't put any money into Hex. However, this is where you could have made money. We said, if you have any Bitcoin, if you're in crypto, you probably have Bitcoin. If you have any Bitcoin, you should definitely claim your Hex, because that is free money. That is money that you cannot pass up. So that was basically an airdrop. I mean, last time I checked, who cares if an airdrop is a shitcoin or not? If it's a lot of money, you cash out and you don't look back. I mean, I know, for example, I'm personally not bullish on Bitcoin Cash. Now, Token Metrics has different ratings per se, right? But I mean, I don't own any Bitcoin Cash. But when I had Bitcoin and the Bitcoin Cash fork happened, I took that money to the bank. Where's my soundboard?
Shut up and take my money. Shut up and take my money.
Right? I basically had a bunch of shit coins. I sold them all to get more BTC so that I could get more money for the Bitcoin Cash airdrop. It happened. I sent all my BTC to Binance. Binance handled everything magically. They gave me the Bitcoin Cash, and I sold that Bitcoin Cash immediately, ASAP, as soon as possible. I sold everything that same day. I did not look back, but I mean, that was the easiest money I ever made in crypto. I mean, and that's saying something, because I've had over 3 investments in crypto go 80x or more. I've had 200x returns. And for me to tell you the airdrops, the forks, were the easiest money I ever made, I mean, that's saying something. So to us, basically, to kind of long story short, we said, don't put any of your own money into Hex. However, if you have Bitcoin, get that free Hex money. Get it, sell it, or stake it, whatever. But that was basically our analysis on looking at Hex, because we even, our developer Paresh, former global investment research director for IT at Goldman Sachs, he looked at the code, he talked to the developers, and they went through the smart contract, and he grilled him. So the developer is actually pretty good. He's a good guy. Smart contract, everything. They're able to explain everything. But despite that, though, long term, we're not bullish. We'll not put any of our own money in Hex. But regardless of what you think, if you have Bitcoin, that Hex claim, fork, airdrop, whatever you want to call it, that was free money. So anybody who got that free money, your portfolio is on Fuego. So I'm not able to pull up the performance metrics for this. Not sure exactly why. I have to tell our data scientists to take a look into this. But I mean, let me know what you think. Did anybody get the free Hex money, the free Hex claim? If you did, let me know down in the comments below what you think. And do you think Hex is a scam? Yes or no? I mean, personally, we would not call it a scam. We would just say it's a bad project, and we would not put our money in it long term. However, if we had Bitcoin, we would definitely take that airdrop, because I mean, I don't know, if you're in the business of saying no to large airdrops, then maybe you're not really an investor or a trader or speculator, right? Because free money is free money. But anyway, let me know. Am I delusional? Am I crazy? Can I have your WhatsApp number? Unfortunately, no. I'm sorry, but I value my privacy very much. Thanks, Ian. You're amazing. I appreciate that you have hung in there and continue to give everyone good content to help them get through the current times. Love you, bro. Thanks, Chris. I appreciate it. That's Chris, the homie. Okay. Hi, Ian. Hope you're well. What do you think about UBT? Thanks. UBT. I don't believe we've looked into that. Let me see if I can pull it up here. Yeah, not seeing that at the moment. That's not what I wanted. Let me go to Unibright. Okay, so Unibright is on our list of projects that we do plan to research. We see here it's cracked the top 100 market cap, has volume of 2.6 million. So it's actually been on the rise. Uniswap is the major exchange trading it. Very interesting. Over 700,000 volume. That's a DEX as well. So yeah, that is very interesting that it has that much volume. But stay tuned. We probably will have it in our system sometime this month. That is a product that is on our radar. So thanks for bringing that up again. Thank you, Ian. I'm grateful for your assistance. Thank you, Claude. Merci beaucoup. Ian, is there any US coin you're bullish on apart from Blackstack? Apart from Blackstack, well, Helium, but I already have that. That's the cryptocurrency I'm mining. It was added on. Was it Bilexy? But it's not on CoinMarketCap yet. Now, any other US project? The others are not trading yet. So I would say projects we're looking into Ava Labs. But all those products that are pre-market, the fundamentals will not be good. But it's just kind of putting them on our watch list, doing the initial research. If the technology is good, fundamentals typically get better as they launch on exchanges. There's liquidity, there's better marketing, and there's been some price action in history. But Ava Labs is on our radar. We're doing research on it. CeeLo Gold technology is all right. I would say decent to good. Fundamentals not there yet, but it's competing with Facebook Libra, with reserve currency. It's and Maker. They have two cryptocurrency systems. So there's CeeLo Gold and CeeLo Dollar. We send out the technology report and the fundamental report via email to our customers about a week and a half ago, I believe. And then we'll also have the reports in our archives on all the emails and communications. So if anybody out there just joined Token Metrics recently, when you get our emails, the premium newsletter emails, at the bottom, there's an archive that has links to all past emails and newsletters. So if you missed any, just click that and you'll get all the past reports. We're probably also going to see how we can, to see if we can add the reports directly on the website. That could also be easier for people, I think. But for now, our email archives has most of our reports that we email out to customers. Great to see you and Bill. Persistent pays off. Love my Token Metrics connection. Thank you, Cynthia. Great to have you here on the live stream. Is it just me or is there a problem with the sound? The sound is good. Felipe says it's good. I would say check your audio settings or maybe refresh. Maybe it's your live stream. Thoughts on Aragon and Engine? Aragon hasn't really done well. I haven't really looked at Aragon since 2017. So if we pull it up here, volume is 310,000 on CoinMarketCap. It's on Hotbit, Uniswap. Bittrex has no volume. Bitfinex has no volume. So Aragon is basically dead. Now I have some friends in DeFi. They told me some other project. I think Moloch's DAO or something. Let me see if Moloch DAO. Yeah, MOLOCH DAO. Somebody said he built a DAO using that. But yeah. Don't you need to reveal your private key to claim the hex? No, you do not. That is.
It's all fake news. It's phony stuff.
It didn't happen. So that's what people who didn't do the research or just did lazy research. So our team did look into this, and we also did talk to Richard about this. But if I recall correctly, you don't need your private key. You just have to sign a transaction with your Bitcoin wallet or address. So you don't have to reveal your private key. Double check that, but that should be on the website. I think that the free claim has passed now. I don't think it's available, but I'll have to check. The Helium you're speaking of is HNT. Yes, HNT, Helium Network Token. It's not on CoinMarketCap yet. Also, where do you store your tokens? Thanks. Well, if you buy the hotspot, it comes with a mobile app that handles everything for you. So just do that. Okay, Seth on Facebook says sound is good. Awesome. Hi, I'm wondering if there has been any progress with the performance tracker for Token Metrics. Yes, Jay. So we're working on building indexes that will be the performance tracker. So stay tuned on that. It's not ready to launch yet, but we think this is really going to be the best feature of Token Metrics once we launch, because this is something everybody has been asking for. People want something that makes everything easier to consume and digest. And we think if we create indexes that show you, okay, here's a model portfolio using overall grades based on weekly and monthly, and these are the trades we're making. This is the performance. This is the ROI. This is how it compares versus Bitcoin and maybe the total cryptocurrency market cap. This is one of the most requested features, so stay tuned. All in all, we plan to have over 30 indexes, right? So that's a lot, and I don't really think anybody has anything quite like that, especially with the machine learning, and especially so publicly transparent. I mean, so initially we'll launch with overall grade, then we'll break it out into, so we'll have overall grade weekly, monthly, quarterly, annually. Then we'll have fundamental, no, sorry, overall grade long-term, weekly, monthly, quarterly, annually, or then overall grade short-term, same thing, monthly, weekly, quarterly, annually. Then we'll break it down into fundamentals, technology, technical analysis, short-term and long-term, and same thing, weekly, monthly, quarterly, annually. So we're going to have a lot of indexes. And then I just told our data scientists to also create one for the price predictions. And that one could be something, because I looking at the data and from talking to our customers, lots of people have been using and relying on the price predictions. I mean, I would say probably even more so than I would personally, because as mentioned before, we believe more in the rating system than in the pure price predictions, because those are two different models. So the ratings look at 74 different data points. And for short term, we're looking at different weights based on running different machine learning algorithms, while the long term is based purely kind of on our team and taking the averages. So we personally, we would trust that more, while price predictions look at just purely price. So they're looking at past performance of the charts and taking that and using machine learning, trying to predict the next 30 days. So yes, it's price, and I would say that that's purely more for traders. And as mentioned before, everything is a tool. Nothing is final. What does that mean? That means have a checklist. So our checklist, top 10 in Token Metrics ratings, the TA says it's bullish or very bullish, and the price prediction is also saying it's bullish and the price is going up in the next 30 days. So that 3-point checklist is what we would use if we were looking to do a short-term trade. So meaning that we're going to get in and get out in less than 30 days. So that's the strategy I would personally use. And now being able to then take that. So with the price prediction index, the idea is we'll run through all the different cryptocurrencies we have in our system, run through all the 30-day predictions for each one, and find the top 10 cryptocurrencies that will that have the largest predicted gains. So the largest predicted percentage. So for example, if a cryptocurrency is $100 and the model is predicting 30 days, it's going to be 150. That's a 50% return on your investment. So that basically would have 50% predicted ROI in 30 days or less. And we would run through all the different cryptocurrencies in our system and find the top 10 highest predicted ROIs and create a portfolio for that. So, I mean, this is something nobody has really done. Obviously, just based on the premise of that, it has to be short term. So it would only have weekly and monthly indexes for short term. So, but I mean, if we can create that and create a model portfolio and log all the, so this is kind of the precursor to building the robo-advisor, which is something we've talked about earlier on Token Metrics, because that's our long-term vision, is being able to build an SEC licensed regulated robo-advisor that can invest and buy and sell and trade on your behalf using our systems. But before doing that, we have to build the indexes. So that's kind of the strategy. So before building the robo-advisor, because we're not licensed yet with the SEC, we can build the indexes. And the idea is, as mentioned before, we'll have the index And then every time the portfolio is rebalanced, we'll have a log that shows you the trades that index is making. So if it's buying any cryptocurrency, it would show you the exact amount, the percentage, what price point. It will show everything there. If it's making any sell, it would log that there as well. So it would basically be a log. So for example, the price prediction model, if it's a monthly model, at the end of the month, it would rebalance the portfolio and see, okay, what are the next best cryptocurrencies for that following month? And if the past month's portfolio or holdings have left and are no longer in the top 10, it would sell those and buy the new ones. If the others are still there, it would keep them. Or if the allocation for the portfolio has shifted, it would make those changes. I mean, but this, in our opinion, is the future of crypto investing. I mean, this is why we've spent our money building all this. This is kind of, we're now leading up to this. So stay tuned. I think this is going to be big. All right, let me check in on the comments. Frederick Felder says, sup brother, should I sell some of my BTC holdings if it's dip after the holding and buy back later? I would say, in my opinion, no. But go back to the beginning of the show in the live stream. We covered our take on the Bitcoin halving and also how Bitcoin whales will be playing this. But basically, we had Bill do technical analysis on Bitcoin. Then we also showed the token metrics ratings and models on Bitcoin. And we're bullish going into the halving. So people are saying is Bitcoin and everything is priced in, but our models are bullish. Our models have been performing pretty well. Obviously, they aren't perfect. Nothing is financial advice. Take everything with a grain of salt. However, our models, when the pandemic happened and everybody was running for the exit, Bitcoin dipped below 4,000, and people were saying, you know what? It's going to get a lot worse. Our models rated Bitcoin the highest they've ever rated Bitcoin in a while. I think probably Bitcoin score was 99 point something. So basically, our models were screaming, buy the dip, buy the dip. And now Bitcoin's price, let me just pull up here. Bitcoin's price is 8,800, almost 9,000. I mean, so that was a hell of a dip. Okay, so that's how you make money, as we like to say.
Shut up and take my money. Shut up and take my money.
So, I mean, just purely based off of that, I mean, I think Token Metrics has already made money for lots of people, lots of our customers who, because for anybody, actually, yeah, let me quickly talk about this. So for anybody out there who's an investor or trader or just anything in life. So recently I was watching this video. So we all know about Pareto's law, 80-20 principle. So that's well known in this space. However, there's also this other principle, which I just discovered this week. It's called Price's law. And it's kind of the same thing. It says that if you take anything where you're measuring performance or pretty much returns or gains or whatever, 10%, yeah, I think, no. So the square root of the number of people create half of the work. So for example, if you take 100, if you have 100 investments, for example, square root of 100 is 10. So 10 of your 100 investments, or rather 10% of your investments will be responsible for 50% of the returns, for example. So it's similar to the 80-20 Pareto principle, but it's quite different. So for example, one of the examples could be if you look at, let's say you're looking at salespeople and you have 10,000 salespeople across the country. Let's say you're an enterprise company doing SaaS sales, and you say, okay, based on our revenue, square root of 10,000 is what? 1,000? Actually, no. Let me pull out my calculator here as we're just to make sure I'm doing everything right. Right. So just give me 1 second. Let me do it here so everybody can see. So just give me 1 second. Apologies for the delay here. But I mean, so Price's law, I think, is pretty big. And I would say anybody who's investing should definitely research into this. I discovered this from I was watching lectures on psychology, and this was something they brought up. So here I've pulled up my trusty dusty calculator, right? Okay, if I know how to use this, right? So the example he gave was, okay, hold on, sorry, everybody. Okay, let me just figure out how to do this here, because this doesn't seem to be working. Okay, now it seems to be working. Okay, I think I figured it out. Okay, apologies on that. Okay, all right, so Price's law says you take any number and you take the square root of that, and those people will be responsible for 50% of the output or productivity. Okay. So in this example, pick any number. So we mentioned, let's do 100,000, right? So we just square root of that. That says 316 people will be. So if you had 100,000, yeah. So let's say you had 100,000 sales rep. Let's say your company like IBM. This is basically saying that 316 people will be responsible for 50% of the sales. I mean, that's wild. That's mind-boggling. Then the other example we had was 10,000. So 100 people would be responsible for 50% of the gains. Okay, so what does that mean? So why do I bring this up? It's basically similar to the 80-20 principle, but it's actually, I would say, probably even more granular. So look at anything you're doing. If we apply this to investing, yes, we have a portfolio, but if you have a cryptocurrency investment portfolio, it's basically telling us that 10% of our efforts or investments or holdings. So if you have 10 cryptocurrencies in your portfolio, it's basically saying one of them is going to get you half of your gains in the future. And that doesn't make sense. Looking at it, like from my perspective, as somebody who made $1 million in crypto, the money I made, most of that money came from a handful of investments. So it was Icon over 100x, Wabi over 100x, and one did like almost 150x at one point, and Dragon Chain 80x. So those three investments made up over half of my portfolio. This was back during 2017, 2018. And if you take that perspective, it's kind of the same perspective we have with Token Metrics, because we're looking to find those home runs. So then the next 10x, the next 100x investment. And if you look into that and you kind of have that perspective, I think it makes you have better perspective into whatever else you were doing, whether you're investing or just even other things in life. I'm not even sure how this question came up or how I began talking about this. I definitely got sidetracked, but yeah, I'll stop there because I've lost my train of thought. No, I'm not sure if I was answering your question or if I was doing something else, but definitely look into Price's Law. I have read the book, The 80-20 Principle, which is a decent book. I discovered that book from reading The 4-Hour Workweek back in college, which is a popular book by Tim Ferriss. He talks about the 80-20 principle, but Price's Law is also one that's definitely worth researching. I don't know if there's a book on it per se, but I think there might be just some articles about it online. Okay, all right, so how are we doing here? Still lots of people on the stream. Oh man, quite the stream. Be sure to smash those like buttons. What is the reserve split? Reserve split or reverse split? Okay, I think if you're talking about a reverse split in a stock, Let's let me just make sure I don't mess that up. Yeah, it's basically a merger, right? Just doing a quick search just to make sure, because this is not really my expertise. So reverse split for stocks in finance, a reverse stock split or reverse split is a process by which shares of a corporate stock are effectively merged to form a smaller number of proportionally more valuable shares. So similar to how you have a stock split. So like Google, so imagine Amazon. Amazon's price per share goes to $1,000. And let's say they don't want to have a large stock price. So what they do is they cut the price in half, or rather they split the shares and create 2 shares worth $500, or they can even split those and create 4 shares worth $250. So that when investors or retail investors especially go to buy, they can actually buy a share, because in stocks you can't really buy fractional shares. I know there are some platforms that do try to do that. I've never used them, but in general, stocks aren't like crypto. So if you want to have more retail representation in a stock, you basically have to allow them to be able to buy it. So that's why you have stock splits. Then a reverse split is the opposite of that. So I know reverse splits have been done. I think that's what Galaxy Capital did to get listed. I know some projects have been doing that, especially crypto projects, where you take 2 companies and the other company buys the other company and they merge the stocks, and that stock is already listed and trading because the other company was a public company. So I think that's what Galaxy Capital did to get listed on the Canadian Stock Exchange. Okay, so Bondad says, who is doing this reverse split on May 20th? Okay, I'm not sure who's doing that. If that's happening in crypto, that would definitely be very intriguing. I don't really know any projects that have done that. I mean, typically in crypto, they just create a new coin and just transfer over the coins, right? Kind of like when a cryptocurrency like Icon did, they had an ERC20 token, and you would basically send their tokens to a smart contract that would, I believe, burn them, and then it would credit you on the Icon blockchain on the wallet you gave them those same tokens. Okay, I'm going to have to watch this again. Yeah, please do, Crypto Plan Group. Thanks for tuning in. I've already shared our comments on Blockstack earlier in the video, so be sure to go there for that. Okay, let me check in on Mentimeter. Okay, so all these are token related questions, so can't really answer all of them. Arisnet, we looked into that a while back. It wasn't really a good project. Haven't kept tabs on them since. Reserve Rights came in 3rd place in our Token Metrics Moon Awards for stablecoins. I believe they received 3% of the vote from our community as the 3rd best stablecoin. In our ratings, it's kind of the same thing. In our opinion, DAI is the best stablecoin out there, purely from a ratings perspective. While Tether has the most volume and liquidity. Okay, Aeon. No update on Aeon. We do plan to add it on Token Metrics soon, sometime this month. It is on a research list, so stay tuned. What's your take on IoTex? I've not looked at IoTex since 2018, I believe, so can't really comment much on that. Okay, what happens with TNT tokens? I do not know what TNT tokens is. Sounds like dynamite. Dynamite token. Let me go to CoinMarketCap real quick and see if they have it there. Oh, Herein. Okay, Herein, I know. So actually, I wasn't invested in Herein. Man, that was an old project back in 2017. That was like summer 2017. I obviously sold all my Ethereum. Okay, so moving on. Let's check in on the comments here on YouTube. XRP. We've not really been bullish on XRP or Ripple. I know lots of people are with the Ripple army and all that, but we've not really been bullish on it. Okay, Frederick says they're talking about that ad on YouTube that keeps playing, talking about May 20th reverse split. Oh man, yeah, I don't really know much about ads on YouTube. I don't really view ads. I have YouTube Premium, so that blocks all the ads, or rather, you pay not to have ads. So I don't really see ads on YouTube. Okay, all right. Pareto principle is powerful. Yes. All right. Any other questions I can help answer? Okay, we have a question here. Let me just get ready. All right, so question is from Cage. Ian, how do you cash out? I don't know when to sell and then to lose all my gains. Well, first thing first, we had a video on our YouTube channel that answered exactly this question. So if you're not subscribed to Token Metrics YouTube channel, you are definitely missing out. I mean, I keep repeating this on our live streams, but we post daily videos. So this is youtube.com/tokenmetrics. So this video here, 13 minutes long, how to take profits from investments. Definitely recommend you go watch that to learn how to cash out. But in general, I would say, obviously not financial advice, not investment advice, but a general principle is if you follow modern portfolio theory, so if you follow that, you're pretty much good. So if you just rebalance your portfolio at a set period of time based on your investment criteria, then you should be good. So for example, an example we always give for Token Metrics is if you're going to invest in, for example, the top 10 cryptocurrencies based on overall grade and Token Metrics rank, and that's your portfolio, you have 10 cryptocurrencies. Because I would say to have a diversified portfolio, you have to have minimum 10 cryptocurrencies. So if you read the book, The Intelligent Investor by Benjamin Graham, they say minimum 10, maximum 30 to really have a diversified portfolio. So if we take that same approach and apply it to crypto, I would say the same thing. So minimum 10, maximum 30 cryptocurrencies, but I kind of like to go more towards the low end. So let's say minimum 10, including Bitcoin. So that's your portfolio. And you say, okay, I will rebalance my portfolio every, the options you have are weekly, monthly, quarterly, annually. Let's say you're a long-term investor. If you're a long-term investor, you would use Token Metrics long-term grades to rebalance your portfolio every 12 months, every year. So you take the top 10 grades based on long-term overall ratings, build a portfolio. How you break that up, the allocation is up to you. A simple way could just be an evenly balanced portfolio, meaning that you would have, let's say 10%. So if you have $10,000, you put $1,000 into 10 cryptocurrencies. I would probably maybe even add in DAI stablecoin. So you always have some liquid cash crypto reserves to make trades or for other things. But let's say you have 10 of the top 10 long-term overall ratings grades plus DAI, so that's 11. So that means you would actually be putting 9% into each cryptocurrency. So this is also a newsletter we sent out to our customers over a month ago. So it should be in the archives for anybody who joins Token Metrics. So let's say you have 11 cryptocurrencies, including DAI. I would take the DAI option, put that on a lending platform like Celsius Network, BlockFi, or some other platform, basically, and just stake it and get 7% or even more. Then the other 10 cryptocurrencies, you're putting in 9%. So going back to the example, if you have $10,000, you're putting in $900 in DAI, $900 into 10 other cryptocurrencies as well. So that means Bitcoin, Ethereum, all the other top 10. And then the period of rebalancing is once a year. So every 12 months, you go back to the portfolio and you see, okay, what cryptocurrencies are now out of the top 10 long-term grades. So if let's say Cosmos fell out, that means you would sell all your Cosmos. So that means sell, take profit or take the L. And then let's say some other cryptocurrency joins the top 10. Let's say Blockstock or Helium joins the top 10 and you don't have it yet in your portfolio. Then you would take that money and buy that. So this is modern portfolio theory. There's lots of literature on this. It's pretty widely used in the space. Almost all investment managers, money managers use this. Robo-advisors use this. This is kind of what we're working towards building with Token Metrics, with the robo-advisor, and the indexes we're creating will be doing the same thing. Now, the main thing you really have to do is focus on the portfolio allocation, because things are different for everybody, and also focus on the period you rebalance your portfolio. So if you're rebalancing your portfolio, let's say you aren't doing long-term, let's say you're a trader and your portfolio, you rebalance it every month. So every month you would rebalance your portfolio. If you're a trader, you probably would not use long-term ratings. You'd probably use short-term ratings. So, I mean, at a high level, that's really, in my opinion, and also based on lots of academic, I would say lots of academic literature and research, that's the best way to really rebalance a portfolio. Now, the reason why this is very powerful, now this is the part you definitely want to pay attention to, because sticking to a period to rebalance and sticking to a portfolio allocation forces you to buy low, sell high. Let me repeat that. It forces you to buy low, sell high, because let's say you have, so just a recommended allocation of 9% for those 11 cryptocurrencies, and one of them goes to 15% allocation. So 15% of your portfolio is in Bitcoin, because Bitcoin has gone up a lot, while altcoins haven't really done much. So when it comes to time to rebalance, you have to get Bitcoin back down to a 9% allocation. So that would force you to take profits. So you basically take 6% of your portfolio's profit to bring Bitcoin down from 15 to 9%. And then it forces you to buy the dip. So let's say some other altcoin in your portfolio, like, I don't know, Cosmos, went from 9% of your portfolio to 3% because it's had a bad year. Then it forces you to buy the dip. And that's really how you make money in crypto. Buy low, sell high. Most people in crypto, not just in crypto, but in all of investing, lose money because they buy high, sell low. I mean, to show you how bad it is, we even unfortunately lost a customer. I kid you not, 2 weeks ago, because the customer was saying, why is the system telling me to buy when the prices are red, when the prices are down? And because this is a notion, not just for him, but for lots of people in investing believe you should buy when the price is green. And that's far from the truth. I mean, if you read any book, whether The Intelligent Investor, great book, but I highly recommend the books by Howard Marks, a well-known billionaire investor. The most important thing, it will really teach you about value investing. You want to buy when prices are at a discount. And by definition, it cannot be at a discount if the price is green. It cannot be at a discount if you're buying in a bull market. You want to buy in a bear market. You want to buy when people are forced to sell. That's when you'll get the best deal. So for example, we talk about how Token Metrics, during the pandemic, when Bitcoin was down 30%, Ethereum was down 40%. Token Metrics was saying, buy the dip. Obviously not financial advice, but it was saying, we rated Bitcoin the highest price we've ever rated it. The score on Bitcoin short-term was a 99 out of 100. That was the highest score we've had for Bitcoin. And people were like, do you not see what's going on in the markets? Like, it's the end of the world. It's an apocalypse. And we lost some customers because of that. But guess what? That move, textbook, buy low, sell high. Bitcoin now is at almost $9,000. So imagine being the customer who got the research saying, yes, we know Bitcoin is down to 30% in one day, but this is the best price you're going to get Bitcoin in a while. you should be buying more, not selling. And not everybody can handle that. And we've lost some business because of that, because you have to reprogram yourself and how you normally operate. Because yes, we understand it's inhuman to want to buy and catch a falling knife, because that's what people are afraid of. They say it's a falling knife. But if you're looking for a discount, because ask yourself this: when something changes, has the value changed? Typically, fundamentally, no. I mean, so for example, with Bitcoin, when Bitcoin crashed 30% and Ethereum crashed 40% and Maker crashed 40%, had the value in those projects changed that quickly in 24 hours? No. I mean, so in the book, The Intelligent Investor, they call that Mr. Market. Mr. Market is irrational. So you can't listen to Mr. Market. So the only time you talk to Mr. Market is when he's giving you a discount. So because people were selling because they're flying to cash. People wanted to be liquid. They wanted liquidity. So when that happens, that's when you get the best deals. Because I mean, how many of you would like to buy Bitcoin at $4,000 or less right now? Everybody wants to. But guess what? If Bitcoin goes back to that price, how many of you will actually pull the trigger and buy it at that price? Because the emotions get in the way. Now, modern portfolio theory helps you take the emotions out of it, and it helps you buy low, sell high. So I definitely encourage you to go out and do more research on that. Books I recommend: The Most Important Thing by Howard Marks, The Intelligent Investor by Benjamin Graham, and the other one was The Intelligent Portfolio Allocator. That one is actually a very good book. Also a very quick read. I think I listened to the audiobook in about 4 hours, but it's really about portfolio allocation. And they go through all the different academic literature, so modern portfolio theory and all that stuff. Highly, highly recommend you read those books, get educated. I mean, we're all locked down, quarantined right now. So getting more research, more education, and more knowledgeable about the market and investing is a long-term investment. It's definitely going to pay off tenfold. All right, let me see how we're doing here. Yes, 4K. Nice. Mateen, Vandad, do you think Bitcoin will be 20,000 by the end of May? I can't really answer that. I mean, it's tough to say. I mean, but our price prediction models are saying 10,000 Bitcoin is possible. May 12th, Bitcoin halving. Could go as high as 14,000 possibly. That's more on the high end, lower probability, but possible. Okay, hey bro, did you ask about Holochain? We already have Holochain on our system, so go to tokenmetrics.com to check that out. We do have Holochain on there. All right. How are we doing here? Looks like I've answered most questions. Still bullish on Zilliqa. Zilliqa is in our top 10. Oh, no, sorry, top 20 long term. So we would say yes, but depends on how much you have in your portfolio. Okay, so we've finished out all the questions on Mentimeter. Let me see if there's anything else I wanted to cover. So we are thinking of possibly doing a webinar for the Bitcoin halving for our customers. So if anybody out there who's a Token Metrics customer, we're probably going to do a live webinar, kind of like a countdown. For anybody who has interest in that, stay tuned. We've not confirmed it yet, but we do plan to confirm it soon, and we'll put out the invites and the emails for that. All right, any last questions before we wrap this up? We talked about Hex early in the show. Just go back and watch. Litecoin, Bill did do Litecoin TA early in the show, I believe. So just go back to that. Okay, most of the questions are coin questions. So we'll save the coin related questions for Token Metrics. I will be down for the live. Awesome. Yes, to having the webinar. Awesome. All right, well, let's stay tuned. We'll be try and confirm that sometime in the coming week. I think it will definitely be nice. Also get a chance to meet everybody and talk face to face. So stay tuned. Stay tuned. All right. With that being said,
We just landed
as we like to say, the moon is not the limit. To the moon and beyond. Thank you, everybody. It was a pleasure having you, especially here on a Sunday night. Talk to everybody next week as we approach the Bitcoin halving. That will be the last live stream before the halving. Then we'll be entering a post-halving world. And who knows? I mean, Bitcoin to 50,000, 100,000, a million, who knows? Tim Draper thinks it's going to the moon and beyond. Obviously, we're all bullish, but we're also realistic. Just make sure whatever you do, you manage the risk. Investing is risky. And as usual, this is not financial advice or investment advice. And with that being said, I'll see you on the other side at tokenmetrics.com. Until next time, everybody.